What is up, guys? Yahoo's here. I'm back with another analysis for the monthlies, this time the 1900 regatta. So, once again, for those who don't know what monthlies are, essentially what we do is we take a whole bunch of users and we take the 5 best of their power rank scores, which are essentially just for each regatta is your event points divided by your net score. And you take the 5 best of those and tally them up over the course of the month and then rank people. Essentially, the top 30 qualified for these past few monthlies. We're going to be expanding it to top 45 for next month. So for June monthlies, if you're in top 45, you qualify. Ignore this red line here, basically. So, in this monthly, I think Hector wins, and there's no real protest that will deter him from winning this one. This is the biggest of the monthlies that we held with 12 participants. Curb did not qualify. This is just a little disclaimer. He just started one race, despite me trying to kick him from the field. But he did not qualify. He just shows up on the classification. So, in the first race, we have some pretty big current sweeping up the course, sweeping up to the right. At a first glance, it seems to be a slightly more favorable when you go farther out left here. So, I'd think about starting pin, but, not much of a shift to do that. Maybe mid would be a good start here, just at first glance, but we'll see as the start develops, like what people decide to do. So the shift is pretty stagnant. You'll notice that it just changed over to -2. Might be an indicator of a right shift, but you also notice that there's generally more wind on this left side here. Something also to note is since the current is pushing to the right, basically people are likely to underlay this a lot more. So if you're starting on port, you can be a lot more patient and then sort of tack back whenever. You might want to start pin though, because it looks like there's a nice wind line here. So let's see who starts there. Hector looks like he's setting up to start pin. If you really want to if you wanted to start pin, like be the one boat that wins the pin, you could just sort of chill around here, because the current's going to really push you out. Hector kind of just takes whatever space everyone's giving him right now, though. Long John seems to be going for something pretty interesting, maybe a plane start. Long John is a man of fancy starts, so it would not surprise me if he tried that in a monthly. You have all these guys sort of like backed up near the boat end here. Hector's going to wind up getting some good speed off the line. Maybe Josie DC as well. He just planted himself in there. Bob Christensen's also in the mix. So yeah, Long John is going for this plane start here. 2, 1, and he has to find a way to... Ooh, he barely makes it over. Okay, that's pretty sick. So, just to go back to that, I thought for sure that was going to fail. Basically, the idea behind a plane start is when you get on plane and then like basically tack right out of it, you get like a super tack, right? So the idea is to just the plane, and then a little bit after go, find a lane, tack into it, and clear all the other boats. Basically, you're punched out ahead. And that's exactly what Long John does here. This is pretty sick. In like such a high level regatta like this, that he'd attempted this and succeeded. So basically, starts planing. It takes 4 seconds to plane. He starts planing around 7 to 6 seconds, or he starts getting ready to plane around 7 to 6 seconds. So in this one, that's pretty much enough to get him up to full speed to just plain start, basically. And he picks this lane with Bob. It's really close though. You know, he's got this current. It's good that he attacked right after Hector, because he's got this current pushing him this way, but I wouldn't have expected him to clear this. It's only because he has so much speed that he's able to clear Bob. Like, you know for sure, like, he's doomed here. But since he has enough speed to clear him, he's not. It's actually pretty sick. So basically, Long John wins the race off of that start, unless if he does something drastic. So he decides to attack, cover everyone. Very nice. Accidentally paused there, my bad. So, I guess something worth noting is the people that, like I said, started Pin punched out pretty good. Bob kind of got covered by Long John, so I think he's got punched back. But basically, Hector and Josie DC, who had like pin starts, they're out pretty good. Everyone's sort of getting this attacking duel. I want to see how Rolf sort of winds up in front here. Because I don't think he's the front runner necessarily. He gets a good start. Oh, he doesn't get that good. Yeah, he gets a good start here. He really is able to get a good start, and they're just tag over everyone. So, basically the people that got speed with options, like Hector 1, Josie DC, and Rolf are out in front. Long John just got the sweet plain start, so he's able to get out in front. So Long John also, yeah, this is something you want to look after if you're. So basically, what happens here is Long John underestimates the current. It's pushing. Keep in mind, it's pushing him, of course, right? So he tries to round this pretty tightly. Actually, no, he kind of just doesn't duck under enough. The current's pushing him a little up too, so it's like he could have done better with recognizing the current might affect him that way and rounded it a little better. Maybe he was a little trigger happy. So since talking, the shift has gone over to -6. So the left gate seems to be the gate to go. You have more favorable current, more favorable shift. Wind is about even. Hector decides to go to the right gate though. I want to see why that is. I think he figures that like he's not gonna get inside on Rolf here, so he might as well diverge. Which I can agree with, because it looks like there's some oscillations in the shift, so he'll be able to work his way back to course left. Like right here, you might want to attack. Yeah, here he does. Gets a nice puff. He's actually out ahead because he just has like a decent rounding. And now also Rolf has to run the gauntlet of boats coming in. So, good job by Hector, sort of recognizing that situation. Sometimes the best gate to go around isn't always the one you want to do for this specific reason. There might be like traffic that you might have to face if you go around a certain gate as opposed to the favorite gate. Well, actually no, as opposed to the other gate. So you might choose the other gate just to gain on other boats, which is pretty much what Hector did. I think Rolfag, though, he got a puff or something, and is now in control of Hector. If you're Hector in this situation, that was not a good attack by Rolfag. Because it's going to be tricky for him to double attack here. He's going for it anyway. Yeah, no, not a good tack by him. He loses position there. It makes it really difficult to double tack and catch Hector there. So that cost him. Bob Christensen made a good comeback this race. Oh my god. See, it's moves like that as to why Bob sort of catches up so easily, and why me and Bob catch up so easily. I actually want to follow with Bob just before I go on to the next race, just sort of see what he does to catch up, right? Because he's near the back, right? If I remember correctly, he was near the back going to that windward mark. Yeah, he's like mid-fleet. See, yeah, I like this a lot. So, what Bob recognizes is, obviously you got the current sweeping right. So, it's inherently slow to be on the starboard ley line because 99 out of 100 times you're going to overlay here, which is like basically what everyone's doing, and everyone's going to be trapped in everyone else's wind shadow. So Bob decides, I'm going to make a port approach because port approaches are safe in this situation and not be covered by wind shadows, and start making gains on a whole bunch of boats. Like, really easy to tack in here. Actually might wind up ahead of Air Jordan if he doesn't penalize him. No, actually he gets swept over, but he should be able to. Should be able to catch him soon. Oh, another thing that's good and that he does. So in lasers, not enough people do this, but what he decides to do here, in order to not be covered, he goes for this jibe here. Basically, it ensures that like most people want to try to get on plane as quickly as they can, so they will typically try to go in this direction. If you want to not be covered, a good thing you can do is to jibe out, which is what Bob does here. It's so you're less likely to be covered around this mark, or if you're jibing back. Sorry, I got some hiccups. So yeah, he's out of all this dirty air now. Starts planing. All this very good. I want to see his gate choice. So he's posed to go to this left gate here. Probably going to be decently timed too. Catches up to Foxtrot because Foxtrot's not planing at the correct angle. I think it's too light to be planing at that angle and just make it sustainable. Either way, going 135 to 137 is the fastest way to approach something. It's just that, like, in terms of at a certain point, it becomes a matter of traveling less distance. So that's why people go dead downwind to plane in heavier air. But what Bob just demonstrated there is that there are much better angles to plane at. In light air, that's especially the case. Because, the more distance you travel, the more you're going to make gains by going at those angles. So Bob just kind of goes from mid-fleet to top 5. And I think he plays the course pretty well. Decides not to get into attacking duel. Winds up in 3rd here. It's pretty good. Once again, Bob opts for this port approach. I like this a lot. Got the tuck behind Zep. Makes a sick move, even though that would be Rolf's penalty. He did hail for room to attack, but I think he was below close haul course, so I don't know how valid that is. And he winds up in 3rd this race. So, oh, 2nd? I don't know. Yeah, 2nd. Well, dang. He went all the way from like mid-fleet to 2nd. Just like that, because he decided to avoid other boats. So, we have a Cats race more wind out left, also a lot more current. So you kind of want to start boat here, right? When you got this much of a current difference, typically boat's the way to go. Yeah, there's like a little bit less wind here, but it's really not a significant difference, at least as far as the course is concerned. So basically that's why I would start something to note, because the current is sweeping down. There's more likely for a hole at the boat to open up. So don't be trim tab, be the guy that's chilling over here waiting for a hole to open up. And if a hole isn't going to open up at around like 25 seconds or so, wrap around and try to get a lane. Or depending on how many boats are here, maybe you do it earlier if you don't think a hole's going to open up. Something to note though is that there is a progressive left shift, so that might affect the race, but I still like to think that to some extent the right side of the course is going to prevail in some way or another, just from a first glance. Yeah, so Bob kind of sneaks inside trim and has the best start here. He's controlling the fleet. Yeah, so a progressive left shift, but Bob tacks very late, and Turbo and Dirk are in much better current. Maybe it's because he tacked late, but I think the current really helped them out here. Like a lot. So then Bob has to go around this pretty methodically. He has to watch out for Rolf here. Yeah, this is not a clean mark routing. That's usually the case. When you have a bunch of people set to overlay, you'll want to tack out, you want to bail early, and you want to be to the right of them. Because they're likely going to have a messy situation, and you want to be on the guy on starboard, not having to worry about breaking any rules. Also, they're just overlaying, so you might make gains on him that way, like Turbo and others did. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, now it's a 15, like a negative 14, negative 15 degree shift, so perhaps the right side isn't super favored, and you might want to round this gate. But I think the lesser current really helped, like Dirk and Turbo Laser. I really do. It's like a pretty significant difference and not much wind. So I think from here, nothing super interesting is happening. So, just a note for the greener sailors. You see how they just like sort of single-filedly, like quick tacked and left, just so they can round the mark cleanly? Don't barge in there. Like, it's not a good move, ever. So, let that be a lesson to the more new sail extras. Yeah, with like a negative 16 degree shift, the left gate was definitely the way to go. Because you're sailing that much less distance, and you're in better wind. But I think in the more formal, the first leg of that race, I think that the lesser current did help to some extent. Yes, they also overlaid, but I think they made so much more gains than overlaying there was merited. So Now we have a bigs race. Oh wait, did I skipped over a race. I'm a dum-dum. I'm a dum-dum. Skip race, never mind. So, kind of an opposite situation. You got more wind over here, but a lot more current, a lot more adverse current. So, starting plan, I'm expecting to see a lot of people go to the pin to face less adverse current going up the course. In skiffs, a little bit more wind does help, but considering the current difference across the course, I'd definitely like to go left here. So let's see how that pans out. Yeah, so you got a few people fighting for pin, and they're going to be blown down the course too. So if you're like Trim and Bob, you're doing the right thing, just sort of chilling in your own lane, letting them fight it out. Like Bob, I think, is going to get a pretty good start here, just based on setup. He doesn't have anyone really around him. He might get caught up by Trim, though. Yeah, it looks like he might have. Oh, they're all so lucky that Hector decided to attack when he did. But Zap is going to reap the benefits of this. He's in continuously better current than the other guys are. And it's starting to shift left. So it's on the rest of the boats to do something here. Otherwise, Zep is basically winning this. Not to mention the fact that he's kind of trapping everyone out. Everyone's kind of afraid to attack right now because of Rule 15. Dirk attacking there is going to create some carnage. Not much at the top. Bob decides it's a good opportunity to just attack, cut his losses. He's probably going to head far left to try to get out of this current, which he will. Foxtrot's kind of preventing him though. He's going to have to tack out. I think he's still in Foxtrot's. Yeah. Unfortunate for him. So interestingly enough, it is actually the people that started left weren't super fair, no, they're super aren't good here. Trim, whoa, what did Trim do there? Why do you do that? Really quick tacked on top of Zap. Not a smart move at all. I guess he was trying to duck fastest guess, in which case just create more room. Don't quick tack. That's just really slow in these boats. So people that started middle, I think they caught a big puff, and that's what's allowed them to gain the lead there. If you're Trim, I would not advise doing this, but it seems to be working for him. I guess there's enough wind for this to work. Yeah, that's interesting. Because, in adverse current like this, it's going to be pushing you against the mark, so luffing up like that, not advisable. But, it worked out for him in that situation. I think he had the finesse behind it to do that. So I expect a lot of left gate routers here, because there's a shift. It's shifting left like we've observed earlier. The fastest guess decides to split, which is interesting. Let's see how that pans out for him. Yeah, it doesn't really do much for him. He doesn't lose out as much as I thought, though. Could it be that the right side actually had something I just didn't see? Just a little bit more wind than I thought? I don't really know. It's an interesting one. So now we have the bigs race. So this is interesting. So there is a right shift at +1 right now. A lot more wind out to the left, and not much current differential across the course. Basically, current here is negligible. So everyone says to start pin here, right? Especially now that it's shifting left, which I can agree with, but typically you want to start by be the guy that starts entering the wind shadow, because everyone's going to want to try to get into this, but they're going to be slow if they're all vying for the pin. But if you vie for this space with a lot of speed, your speed entering into the wind line basically compensates for the fact that you're not already in it. That's at least what I find. When you have space this narrow that people want to just get to, So I'm expecting some people to start left and for that pattern to form. Let's follow Zep, because Zep's going to be one of those people. Slowly makes his way. Just doesn't use too much of his runway. He's going to be able to luff all the way up now. Keep his pin position. Long John's going for a very interesting start again. Not surprising. So Zep basically wins the start. He just left up here, assuming Long John doesn't do anything to really interfere with his race. Long John has a crazy start. Are you kidding me? He gets punched out. Yeah, but Zep just gets booted by Long John there. So let's actually go back to that. So Long's got to be super careful here, obviously. Just sort of takes advantage of the fact that Zep can't break full 16 here. And just basically reacts to his movements. Very good. But unfortunately, it's not going to be his decision to really go. I mean, yes, Hector could probably go eventually. Maybe on a better shift. Right now, Hector can definitely cross. So it's on Hector. Because as soon as Hector goes, the fastest guess is going to go. Because the fastest guess doesn't like being there. He doesn't have any room to really duck. So this I find super interesting. Zep always sets up wide. It's because you notice that he has maximum width. It's he always plans on going for the pin start and just wants to set up wide all the time. Which I guess, on paper it's actually faster to do that. It's just that if you mess up the start, or if you don't have a boat end or pin end start, then you're going to get punched out when everyone's just sort of sailing up the first beat. So, interesting tactics by Zep. Seems to be working out for him so far, though. Just overlays a little bit here, which I don't mind because it's always nice to overlay in these wind lines here. Let's see how he progresses. He's doing the correct thing right now, so basically to ensure that he is most effectively using his runway, he's aiming for just a little bit above this mark. You don't want to aim over here too much, because then you're just sort of driving your boat into these wind shadows. He wants to slowly approach and sort of effectively use his runway as much as possible as he's approaching this mark here. He doesn't want to run into trouble too early. He also doesn't want to just sort of sail off up here and then eventually have to sail sideways and lose out to these boats. So this is the fine balance. So still doing that. Don't think he's going to catch up to Long John, but he might be able to catch out Hector here. It's going to be tough because of Long John's wind shadow. He's definitely going to be able to make Hector wait before he attacks, though, I believe. Yeah, Hector can't attack. So Zep rounds in second. So, you know, good stuff. I wouldn't say this is the safest thing to do in this meta, to go wide like that, but he's making it work, and it is technically on paper faster. Just, you know, in this meta it doesn't work as well. It kind of limits your starting plan. I don't think Zep really minds that, though. I didn't know he goes all the way wide, though. I thought he just did like somewhat wide settings, like middle settings, but he had the narrow option. I find that very interesting. Like, he can't adjust anything past here. So Zep's actually trapped up by Hector here. Not a good spot. That's good. He kind of fakes the jibe over to save himself, but Hector's still gonna close out. He doesn't have mark room on Hector. But Hector gives it to him anyway, which I guess is actually pretty smart. So Hector could have been aggressive here, but Zep could have just messed up his rice anyway. So what Hector actually does is he says, okay, Zep is coming in really sharp here, so I'm just gonna wait here, right? I like this. I always like this move, right? It's like, I'm going to chill here. Vasquez had no business running into Hector, by the way. Definitely owed him mark room. And I'm going to be able to round much more tightly than Zep. So, very good by Hector. I like that a lot. Plus, Zep is going wide. So just complete control over Hector, basically. I mean, Zep. It's just, like I said, technically, it's faster on paper to do this. It just, you know, in this meta, it's really difficult to base your game plan around starting much wider. If you're a speed demon like Zep, it might work for you, though. So if you ever doubted me on saying, when I said, like, hey, it's technically on paper faster, just look. He went from going behind Zep to, like, having advantage on him as he's going to the mark. So, huge gains by Zep, and it's all because he has it maximum setting and wide. You know, after showing this video, I might release this video as the one that's not Discord exclusive access. Then everyone might start doing wide settings like Zep. Then the meta for bigs would change. That'd be very interesting. So the site kind of buffers a little bit around this time, around like the 12:45, 12:48 mark. So I'm just waiting a little bit for the classification to go back. It does this. Okay. Then we have one more race. I'm actually going to look at the classification for this one, just to see who's where. So Hector has 113 going to this last race, but has no drop. Josu has 173, so 11 points. Not very good. Zep has 227, also 11 points. Still in contention, I suppose. Basically, Hector's the only one that's really advantage here. Because, yeah, he has no drop, but, you know, he still has, going into this last race, 5 points versus, like, 11. His next competition has to put 5 votes in between them and him going into this last race in order for them to win. Plus he has 2 firsts. It might actually be 6 votes. So Hector's the huge favorite going into this. He just has to, like, basically finish and make a decent finish. And he's got this. In fact, if he finishes anything better than 5th, he's good. So, despite the fact he doesn't have a drop, still a heavy favorite because everyone else is been much less consistent. Or at least not as consistently good as he is. Kind of the same thing with the last regatta, except it was a little closer. And he wound up in a position where his regatta was actually threatened. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, it's kind of spoiled. He gets a 6, so basically he could have lost the regatta. Actually, no. If he gets a 6, he basically wins the regatta anyway, because at that point, no matter what Zep and Josu do, they have it at the very least 12 points, either of them. And Hector with the 6 then he actually gets 11 points. So yeah, basically Hector has to do very poorly for him to lose here. And Josu or Zep has to win the race. So basically left's favorite here. I don't know what Zep's doing over here, especially when his key competition is all over here. Perhaps he's looking for just some speed off the line. But, you know, he's on the wrong side, and in these boats where, you know, you can start attacking and lead-bowing people and really getting to attacking duels, I think you definitely want to start on the favorite side rather than get speed off the line. It's not like Biggs or Cats or anything. So I think Josu actually has a good idea here. He probably should luff here. I would have liked to have seen him luff earlier, but this is okay, I guess. He's being pushed by this current this way, so he will be able to keep this lane. It's just he doesn't have as much runway to work with. Could have potentially double quick tacked to regain some position, but I think he starts fine here anyway. Yeah, it's like he's created too much space between him and Rolf, so but the puff definitely helps him out, so now he's able to punch out Rolf. So yeah, Josu is he has 137 going to this, so he has 11 points. If Hector gets 8th or worse in this race, then Josu wins the regatta. It's just that Josu has to maintain this lead, obviously, so he can't really do much to help or hurt Hector's race. But so far, Hector's well behind here. So I think Josu's kind of established his position up front and isn't going to lose it. It's more a question of how the hell did Hector regain his position to 6th? That's a good question to ask. That's how. So huge flop comes in. That definitely will help. Especially when everyone's coming down Port Lay, everyone's slowed by all these wind shadows. Hector just has speed, starboard advantage. Sort of comes in. This isn't going to be pretty for all these guys here. Like, Long John gets dinged. And just like that, Hector's back into the top 8, I believe. He's actually 7th. So yeah, all it really took was that puff. Long John's going to clear out of the way. Hector still does good by avoiding him. Just because someone is flashing does not mean they have to keep clear of you. The rules still apply normally. So Hector is probably going to go around this left gate if I had to guess. You'll want to control Fastest Guest. Fastest Guest decides to try to luff him up. Into Zep, this could have been pretty ugly had he done it a little bit more aggressively, but Hector's still able to navigate that situation. The Fastest Guest again splits with Hector, but goes around what I think is the incorrect gate. Hector asks, "What are you playing?" I'd say 5-dimensional chess. I don't understand what TFG did there, and I don't think any sentient being does. So, yeah, you got more wind over here, but, you know, this shift is too left bias. So despite the minimal gains you're gaining over here, it's, you know, you're still winding up behind Hector just because you rounded a different gate, especially when you're ducking Long John like that. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy. I'm trying to be quiet. I have some people in the house sleeping. But yeah, even though Josie's winning this race, there's really not much he can do here. He can't really go back, and he has to kind of hope and pray that Hector screws up. Kind of unfortunate. But hey, when Hector does that consistently well, you kind of have to expect that he's going to come up on top. So yeah, he's in 6th, and basically nothing else changes here. So Hector winds up winning the regatta. He won 2 of the 3 monthlies. I don't think he participated in one of them, so he's basically won every single monthly he participated in. Very good, very consistent. Hope to see more from the guy in the future. He's qualified already for these next few monthlies. So that is all my analyses done for this set of monthlies for the month of May. Hope you found them helpful. I'll probably be putting this one up on YouTube. If you want to access the other 2 ones I'm referring to, just join my Salix Coaching Discord server. You can add me on Discord as Yahoo's #0222, and then I can add you to the server. Just try to make it your username so I recognize you. And then you'll have access to the other 2 videos. For now, I will be signing off, and I hope you found these helpful.